Never did a video recording like this. Just now developing the confidence for some shit like this, because this is like, people actually hearing what you're talking about as you're talking about it. Ain't no editing. So we're gonna jump right into this. But every time I see a black person, I just stare a few extra minutes to make sure I don't know them, because I be on it, I be on it.
Fuck is you talking about? Like, what the fuck, dog? Like, I really do this shit.
Video. Let's turn. Lights. Okay. Well, we gonna see if we can turn this way and record this video. Maybe I'm gonna just sit at some tables right here. Hello, y'all. So today we're gonna talk about something that I was kind of chatting a bit about on my live. Found a table to sit down. So I'm gonna talk about some things that something I brought up on my Instagram live. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, it is really a wonderful time to follow me now, because I am a lot more active on my account in terms of speaking, and sharing and talking a little bit more on my live and making videos and stuff like that. So I follow up on a lot of the stuff that I talk about here, because I just be ranting one day and the ideas just be flowing, and I'd be like, you know what, I'm gonna make a video about this. So that is why I'm here again, and that's also how my last video got inspired. So if you don't follow me, I'm gonna post my Instagram somewhere in this video for you to keep in touch with me and some of the stuff that I'm talking about, and not really be too lost when I'm coming here mentioning things that I talked about there. So anyways, it's so good to be back so soon, y'all. I love being able to come here and chop it up and really get things off of my chest. And I know y'all be feeling where I'm coming from, so that makes it even better. So today, we're going to talk about sex. And we're going to talk about, so first, I want to kind of debunk some myths that people may think about lesbian women or women who predominantly have sex with other women. I first want to say that, and maybe I'm going to speak from my experience. Everything's from my experience on this channel. So from my experience, I definitely want to say that sex for me with women has really allowed me to extend this idea of sex way beyond the physical, way beyond, penetration. And typically that's what sex is to a lot of people, is penetration, oral stimulation, whoop the bam, that's it. But, having sex with women, me opening myself up to relations with women has opened me up as a person to, more sexual experiences, more, experiences within the practice of sex that expand further than that physical arousal, pleasure, stimulation, So I just want to put that on the table first, because a lot of people think that because, there's the absence of the male and the absence of, the male genitalia, that sex is a really bland experience for a lot of women who, choose to engage in these practices, when really it's a really sometimes spiritually just, and it's really interesting, because it wasn't until, I started having sexual intercourse it wasn't until I started having sex with women that I really started to feel more comfortable, loving myself and getting to know myself and, pleasing and getting to know what pleasure meant to me personally in my own time with myself. And, I still am familiar with a lot of women who have yet to, find that comfort in an experience like masturbation or, using a sex toy. And I came to understand that these things were out there for my use at a very young age. So that made it easier for me to kind of connect with myself in these ways at a very young age. But that still doesn't change the fact that, connecting with women has allowed me to connect with myself, maybe as a woman, in ways that I've never been able to reach, upon those first engagements with sex with men. And it's a really transforming experience, I want to say. And that's what brought me here to kind of talk about sex, because one of my past relationships, the experiences that we shared have really transformed the ways that I view sex. And some of the, things that we went through in our relationship because of sex in itself have really transformed me as a person. So on my channel, one of the things that I talked about was this act of, being able to extend and understand sex is something that you can share with more than just your intimate partners, or more than just, who you're in a relationship with. And I came to understand these things, not in an open relationship, not practicing polyamory, but actually in the act of, these situations coming up between me and my friends. And something that I mentioned on my live was that, previously, before the situation, I too viewed sex as something that should only be shared between, two people who love each other, and two people who are in a relationship, and two people who share this intense emotional connection, until I was put in this situation where I was not forced, but encouraged to understand that it is a lot bigger than that, it extends a lot further than that. And, something else I mentioned on my live was that I was too at a point where, I was in a relationship with someone who, who was able to share themselves sexually, or casually, in ways where they didn't have the emotional attachment or that possessive attachment to it, and me, my ego couldn't understand, the insecure side of me couldn't understand how someone could practice, sex with someone that they did not, feel so passionately about, or, have these intense emotional feelings for. It was really conflicting to me seeing how these things were possible without that, that emotional attachment, that you needing to be with this person, or you feeling like you need, that sexual interaction with them. So I definitely want to say that me being tossed into that situation, for one, and then me understanding, sex as something that is bigger than just the physical, aspects of it, something that is deeper than, pleasure and arousal, something that can really help you connect with deeper parts of yourself, more divine parts of yourself, understanding sex in these ways. So, as I mentioned on my live, it took me opening up myself, in ways that I want to say my monogamous relationship, me going in and out of those monogamous relationships did not allow me to do. It took me spending that time by myself. And that's something that's in itself is how I was thrown into that situation with the universe, is because I was finally put into a place where, I was kind of in a position where I was like, okay, I'm out of a relationship. Who am I? What do I like? What pleases me? Because now I'm no longer dependent on this person who, I've been having sex with for this so and so time to give me this satisfaction. Now I need to know what that is to me so that I can carry this in my experiences with other people. And, I had to learn that in that time that I was not in that relationship. And in that time that I was not in that relationship, that's when the universe gave me that experience. And I really feel like it gave me that experience to understand the many different, ways that sex can really transform our relationships, not only intimately, but also, with my friends. And it's understanding that sex is not limited, to the ways that we've been taught to understand it, or limited to the ways, that religion tell us that, it allows you to procreate or whatever. Understand that it is not limited to that. And, taking the initiative to expand it. Expand on what it means for you, and expand on what it should mean in your relationship, and, how it is utilized to build and maintain your relationships. And I noticed that, and this is something that I also mentioned in my live, but I noticed that, my introduction into, my sexuality with women was introduced to me through the act of sex, through me seeking that pleasure that I was not getting from intercourse with males. And that's why I feel like it is it is a lot deeper than just the physical, because as I said, all of the things that I've gained from these experiences that I've shared with women have taught me so much about myself, and this is not to say that these experiences cannot be experienced, in heterosexual relationships. But for me personally, it took me opening myself to things outside of, what I was aware was, okay for me to be. Me recognizing that I had this attraction to something different than what society was telling me was okay, and me embracing that. Me allowing myself to understand love on so many other ways, and so many other levels. And, sex should allow you to do the same thing. Sex should encourage you to do the same thing, because there are so many ways that it can present itself. And Something that I really like that I said in my past video was that, sex to me now is more of a spiritual connection. And if I'm not relating to my partner on that divine spiritual level, then I'm not relating to them. Then we are not having sex. I am not, finding pleasure in this. And it is solely just an act for me. And I am no longer interested in participating in sharing myself and, putting myself in a position where, I am allowing someone to literally insert themselves inside of me and take part in my energy, without that intention, without that innate, like, okay, I recognize that this is a connection, and I recognize that this is a, an interaction and a bond that is going to carry our connection, and that our connection is carried within this bond and this interaction. So, yeah, like, sex, for me and for other people, I think it should be so much bigger than what it has presented itself to be to us. And it has only presented itself in that way, because it's been stripped of so much of what it was over time, the religion and social institutions and, education and, family traditions and all of this stuff that has kind of clouded, what this experience really should be for us. And I want to say me coming to understand sex at such a young age really put me in a position where now, all of the physical aspects of it are quote unquote old to me. And it is more about, the innate connection and the innate bond that comes with it, because something has to come with it, and that's why I've also had to learn, this concept of, unconditional love for all beings, for all life, because with that, I don't need intense emotional feelings to share this connection with you, because I'm recognizing that I already love you. We already got this connection. We already here. So with me recognizing that we're already here innately, in ourselves, in our nature, me recognizing that already gives me a standpoint to be like, well, okay, we have a connection. And, this will give us room to build on that upon other things. But I feel like it first starts with you recognizing that you already have this connection that people feel like they have to establish before they can have sex with other people, outside of their relationships or, their friends. Like, I feel like if you already recognize that that is there innately, it becomes a lot easier for you to build on that as a foundation. So, yeah, like, I don't want to go too much on this because it is so simple, and I don't want to make it too confusing, because it's really just opening yourself to allow sex to be experienced in ways other than the ways that you're experiencing it. And, if you have expanded yourself, into other forms and other acts and other practices of sex, then that is wonderful. But I challenge you to find other ways that are not physical. I challenge you to find other ways that allow you to connect with your partner in those same ways that are not physical, that can be manifested, in the spiritual realm, when y'all meditating, like when y'all laying there sleep, out of body experiences, like allowing yourselves to practice sex in all of these other ways that can make the experience so much more empowering for everybody involved. And that's what sex is. That's what sex should be. And if it's not that for you, I challenge you to make it that for you. I challenge you to tap into that and, tap into all that it can really be for you and your partners, and, where y'all can take it. So I had to come and I had to spill that before this meeting I'm about to go to. And again, if you're new to my channel and, this is all new to you, that's okay. Take it one step at a time. And this is not to say that any of this has to apply to you directly. Take what applies to you and carry that with you in your journey. Take what applies to you and carry that with you in your teachings to other people. Everything is not for you, but that doesn't mean that there's not truth in what is for you. So find that truth in what I'm saying and reflect on it, and really not only in sex, but open yourself to other experiences in your life that can really help you and allow you to tap into that liberation that is already there for you to tap into. And that's the next video that I'm coming to y'all with, is, how to liberate the self. I love y'all. And if you're new to my channel, do not forget to check out my past videos. Do not forget to like and subscribe and share this truth with everybody around you, so that we all can grow to where we need to be and create this change in the world around us. This is Tamiel with I Am All That You Are. I love y'all, and I will see y'all in the next video.